Wanted to take just a minute today to share with you a new approach to progressing strength training that I've been using for the past several months that's been working gangbusters. And if you're sick of just doing endless reps in order to meet progressions, this new approach may be just the ticket for you. See, fundamentally, strength training, or working a muscle to try and get it to be bigger and stronger, just boils down to two variables. You've got how much tension is in the muscle and how long is that tension there for relative to rest. Now, the classic approach to strength training, to build muscle and strength, has been to keep that tension amount relatively the same, aka how much weight you're lifting, which is correlated to the amount of tension in the muscle. And once you've achieved some sort of a standard, like 3 sets of 12 or 15 or whatever, you then lift a heavier weight or increase your resistance, the reps drop, and you start the process over again. Now, this process works great most of the time, but it does pose a few challenges. Particularly, you're working with a relatively set level of resistance or tension in the muscles. So while you're increasing repetitions, you're not actually typically getting stronger, meaning that you're not increasing the tension in the muscle. So the amount of force output isn't really growing. You're just growing on the endurance side of things. But that all started to change a little bit when I started to get into isometrics, particularly when using the Dragon Door iso chain. See, the basic setting on this is to hold the tension for 6 seconds. Now, you could ultimately say, okay, I set this for like 150 pounds, hold it for 6 seconds, and then increase the amount of time I'm holding it for 8 seconds, 10 seconds, and so on, and use the same approach. But since isometrics is so easy to just increase the intensity because the amount of resistance is always matched by the amount of force you have, I found myself just saying I'm going to stay with 6 seconds, keep the time element static, and just keep increasing the amount of tension in my muscle as the primary means of progression. So then I started to apply that same methodology to basic progressive calisthenics training. So once I started to feel like my reps were going up in an exercise, instead of chasing after reps, I started to just make the exercise more difficult. And if I felt, okay, that's getting a little bit stronger, make it even more difficult still. So I always kept the rep range relatively about the same, but really emphasizing how do we just get more tension and resistance on the muscle to keep progressively getting stronger. I don't want to do an exercise that's so easy I could do hundreds of repetitions with it. I always want my rep numbers low. Like with my commando pull-ups, several months ago, I started off doing 2 to 3 repetitions on each side. Now, after lots of hard work and diligent training, I'm still doing 2 to 3 repetitions each side. But the amount of weight I'm putting on that primarily working arm is much more, and the assistance arm is much less, aka I've gotten a lot stronger from it. And you might be asking, well, if this way is so great, why did we always do things where we had fixed resistance and increasing reps ad nauseum? And I think like a lot of things in our fitness culture, it just boils down to, well, that's how we always did it because that's how we started doing it. And we started doing it due to limited resources. Back when physical culture started to be developed, we didn't have a lot of adjustable weight machines, or even an adjustable barbell. If you wanted to build muscle and strength, you went out and bought a barbell that was a fixed weight or dumbbell or kettlebell or whatever, and you would lift that a whole bunch of times. Naturally, your repetitions would go up because that's about the only option you had. And then after doing that for a while and saving your nickels and dimes, you would then buy another barbell, dumbbell, or kettlebell of the next weight up and repeat the process. And that works great, but it's certainly not the only way to go about it. Now we have the options of, if you want to focus on building that raw strength and it's just more fun and in line with your goals, I recommend staying within a much narrower rep range, like 3 to 5 reps or 6 to 8 or something, and then adjusting the resistance much more readily instead of the amount of time or repetitions that you're doing. But that's what I've been having fun with lately. Love to know your thoughts down below. Best of luck, be fit, and live free.